All right, guys, we're back. Throw over my. All right, where are we at here? I don't even know what's going on here. Gotta clean this all up. All right, so we have our first professional Linux users group Linux security engineering course. That's a whole mouthful, right? We have that first one recorded. I did that a few hours ago for you guys. That is up. It's got its own playlist on YouTube for so those of you that are interested in watching that and doing that. You know, we've got a set of things going on. If we go on our Discord here real quick, I dropped that link in the Discord, but I'll show you guys this here real quick. That's fucking annoying. All right, anyways, there we go. Right here, we are running everything out of the Prolog projects group like we always do, but we do have some books and things that are already published that you guys can just go drop in. Like this is the like the Linux Enterprise course, and this course has all of the components. They're still building it. The guys are still working on it to do all 16 weeks, and then that has recordings with it as well. And then we have the security course, which we were actually just working on a little while ago. And I'm going to start building the next parts of it kind of while I'm sitting here hanging out. I figure even though I've got 2 weeks, I'll just start getting it going now. And that's kind of my plan for today, my plan for what I'm doing on stream. If anybody's got any questions or want to walk through some of the stuff or ask how to get involved with the course, let me know. I will try to make that work for you. Also, I thought I'm definitely wearing a black shirt, so it's interesting that that thing's in front of me. Hold on, maybe I need to go fix that. Let me go. I think my alert box needs to be back here. That doesn't fix it any, but okay. I guess it doesn't really matter where I put it, because I got a black shirt and it's still showing the stuff right through me. So all right, well, screw it, we'll just leave it as it is. But yeah, if you guys have questions about the course or getting in there, let me know if you want to know anything about that stuff. What I'm going to do then is the next part of this is securing the network connection. So I'm going to go look at some of my system notes that I had. Let me go look at my Excalidraw, see what I have here. Open up my, what did I have for this week? Let's see what things I had added. All right. So we've got to, so for this system, we got to start stigging or configuring the protection of the network. That's going to fall into, there's going to be some documentation things around what your local firewalls are doing. That's going to be some documentation around what your sysctl configurations are doing for TCP and ICMP type connections. Like, what are those things doing? And then, what other things might I put on there? No, Alex, I'm putting stuff together for the next week. So this isn't really a continuation. No, that is a closed-in, fully completed course over there, I guess, if you want to think of it like that. No, but I'm gonna start working on the components for this. I'm gonna start building these out. I have the I think I have the course made. Yeah, I have the little document made. So I'm just kind of I'm kind of doing it at my own pace, which is nice and slow right now. I'm not working too hard, just kind of going. Yeah, I'm starting to put together week 2 stuff. Yeah, that's where I'm going next. Yeah. And other than that, I'm just going to be kind of hanging out and telling people how to get in the system and that kind of stuff. People have been asking me in Discord, but then when I say, hey, you got to message me for the password, they don't message me. So there are discussions. Again, you can go look in the discussions and see kind of what's going on in there and kind of get a feel for what's going on inside of the course. So, oh wow, this song, called The Flickering. This very much reminds me of I don't think it was Final Fantasy 7. Maybe it was Final Fantasy 3. The song is very, very much. I don't know if you guys can hear that piano, but all right. Anyways, the point is, there's a lot of stuff going on in the Discord. I mean, we're over 3,700 people now, so I probably need to update our little ticker down there. But the next goal is 10,000, so we're just gonna blow by all the other ones, hopefully, and get there eventually. But what else are we doing? Let me make sure I'm not missing anybody's chats. Okay. Let's get in the system here. I have one other thing to do. What I need to do is start actually using this thing. What is my con board? I need to actually start using the con board. I mean, I have it. I just don't do anything with it. Let's make a new backlog, and let's say set up monitoring for lab usage. And let's put that over here, because one of the things I want to do in the environment is we have the sandbox, and currently we have all the tools, all the components to do our right out here. So we can say people that have actually logged in, right? We can see what kind of logins to our system we had. And we had a significant amount of people logging in yesterday. Yeah, Chris, it's funny. I have a Kanban board, and then I don't use it. Like, I have other things up there that have been there for years. But these are all the cool little logins from people. But here's the problem. Oh, Rocky 1 had 20. Everybody was going to Rocky 1, but then some people started realizing they could pop off into these other ones, so that's kind of cool. But yeah, this is kind of fun. This is all our logins for the system. And then somebody's busted Rocky 5. So this is why we do this. By the way, if somebody busts the server, what do we care? It's a lab box, right? But let's go get it back up. Let's go make sure our systems, we got to reconnect all these. Because if you guys remember, Cox messed up my internet yesterday. For about 4 hours, I was down on my primary internet. So I had to actually jump over to my secondary internet yesterday. And it only came back right as we were starting the stream. And that was super annoying. But let's go look at Rocky 5. Why is Rocky 5 down? He's down hard. Start him up. Let's watch him boot. Let's come over here. Oops. Let's watch him boot up and see him pull his configuration and stuff. Let's see. He should be iPixie. He should know that he's Rocky 5. Oh! He's actually having a problem on his network. That's a little bit different. I don't know why he doesn't have net 0, 104, 201. So for some reason this box has a jacked up network, and that happened once yesterday on like one of the Rocky box or Hammer boxes, actually. I think Hammer 2. And then we just had to turn them off and turn them back on, and his network came back up. But that may just be a problem with... Yeah, now, wait. Oh, no. Hold on, he's DHCPing. Yeah. So, yeah, it worked fine. He communicated over. So there's just something wrong with probably his network. Maybe the boxes were maybe they were over allocated or something, and just had a hard time coming up. But now we'll see him provision. We'll see him grab his We're actually going to see him pull down his kernel and his init ramfs. So those things are there, and then he'll boot up. All right, and then we'll have a happy set of servers that are doing all the things we want. But I want to do something. I want to do something a little more powerful with this, a little better thing. So that's going to require me to go look something up. And the thing I need to look up for this is just my own little monitoring thing here. This isn't even part of any of this. Oops, get out of there. Monitoring. Actually, is this the monitoring one? Yeah. I will do it right in here. Let's go look for let's go look at some query examples for Loki. So log query, how you would query this, and then what I need to do, make this bigger so I can actually read it, is query best practices. Do they have... oh, here we go. I wonder if I can use start and end, like start as since, okay, since, so since, like if they have like a now, so from now back 24 hours, right? Timestamps, columns, examples. Through JQ, pipe it through JQ, that's fine. So I wonder if I can use since now, so then it'll go back 24 hours. So I don't care about container name. So let's go look at our example data. What does our data look like in our system? So for any, we would want any login. Let's just look at secure. Let's see everything that's in secure. And when we got an actual valid user, we'll go for the last 24 hours. Look at all the connections here. You might want all of this data right here. For what we're gonna do. Maybe. I think that's all the... Yeah. And then where's my... Okay. Where's my... All right. Oh, man. Got me. All right. What happened here? Alex Nuda, when the Prolog Labs open for access concerning you said the IP. Alex, they're always open, and the IP changes, but the DDNS does not change. So there's a dynamic DNS for that. It never changes. So you should always be able to get to the site. That's all in the that's all up here in these. It tells you how to connect. If you go in the books, it should tell you how to connect to the systems. It's also in the Discord. It tells you how to connect. All right, why does this not have a field for... I would have thought it would have had the field for the different... for the string that it was connected to, but that's okay. The most important thing is we have all the data, right? We are tracking all the things that are happening. What I want to do is get a little more visibility into it. So I want to give us a little more of like a view of people logging in. I mean, this is an okay start that we saw that a bunch of people were connecting into the different boxes. That's an okay start, but that's not where we want to stay. We want to eventually get to where we have all of these working. Also, Hammer 5 must have broke after midnight last night, because at midnight he was still up. Oh, no, sorry. Rocky 5 is down. Hammer was still up. Hammer's not broken at all. Okay. That's fair enough. All right, let's get that out of the way. All right, I'll keep playing with that. That's not that big of a deal for what we're doing today. We're just kind of hanging out and working on... I'm going to get the stuff a little more set up for this week's... Or 2 weeks from now. All of our stuff. Hey, Twisted Seed, how's it going? We're not working too hard. We already recorded the main thing for today, so now we're just kind of hanging out and doing whatever we want. Okay. Let's go. Oh, let's see if I can get something going. I don't have any I don't have any will to work on anything right now. What do I have open? Let's see. Just that. All right. So we are going to go to Unit 2 of this, and we're going to start calling these things Unit 2. Get rid of that. Get rid of that. And we'll start moving some of this stuff over to be Unit 2 type stuff, as opposed to Unit 1. Call it network for now. STIG viewer, you still got to do all that stuff. We'll change these up a little bit. And then clear this up. There we go. All right. Still need to download the STIG viewer, but now we need to download something else, not MariaDB. Now we need to download the other part. So change this. There we go with that authority that we were talking about earlier. All right, come down here and we say rel Now, rel is going to not give us what we need, so we're going to need Red Hat 9. Well, they have 2 of those there. STIG for Ansible, we just need the regular benchmarks. So alright, there's the STIG viewer benchmark right there. So I'm going to grab that, and I'm going to do this to it. Alright, hold on, this music's a little too slow. A little too chill. We need, let's see if this is better. I don't know if you guys can hear that music, but it's kinda okay. Alright. So now, for this lab, it's going to be slightly different. We already got that, good. Now we're going to do the same type of security stuff we were doing earlier, but we're going to do it against an actual Linux box. So, okay, nobody else on there, just me. Let's go look at our STIGs. Let's go look at our STIGs for... I don't have my STIG viewer open. I keep closing this thing and then thinking, I need to not close it this damn time, but alright. Give me a second. Let me go open this stupid thing. How is that spooky music? Hold on. Alright, we're gonna give up on pretzel rocks for the day. That's enough of that. Go with our tried and true. Better. Alright. So port the STIG. You gotta use rel STIG 9 checklist. So I'm gonna say open a checklist from a file. But if you guys have never seen this before, you can actually put like a 2-second delay, and then you can start it, and then you can say like, so what'll happen is it'll grab the STIG. Yeah, you guys probably couldn't see part of that, but it'll grab the STIG directly as you go to run it. So import, create a checklist. So right. So you need to do that, because then once you do that, then you can do the rest of the lab. Alright, so we don't need to install MariaDB. Actually, a bunch of this stuff doesn't need to happen, but that's fine. Alright, we'll figure that out here. I'm not working too hard today, guys, so if you need anything, let me know. If you guys want to ask about the course or any of that stuff, just you know, drop it in the chat. I'll try to answer what I can about what we're doing and about the course. I'm putting together week 2, which is actually in a couple of weeks. I'm just getting this stuff all set up so we have, you know, so I'm not as behind as I normally am. Let me go grab this. Go down to filter, and we're going to filter by IPv4. Yeah, fuck it. Let's just do it like this. Get rid of that. So, filter by IPv4 and see how many STIGs you have. So, the filter is right here. I'm just going to go ahead and grab this so people can see this. I guess I can, you know, circle this and circle this, right? Copy. Don't need it anymore. Get out of here. Okay. Get rid of that. That's gonna bug me. Okay. That's fine. Filter by IPv4 and see how many STIGs we have. And then the question will be, or one of the many questions will be, what are the types of controls that we're doing? So in this first one, it's DNS server resolution must have at least 2 name servers configured. Well, why is that? It's to provide availability for name resolution services. Maybe you don't use that in your company. Internally, you might use cluster host IP addresses and etc host files and not use DNS at all. Well, if that's the case, you need to explain why that is. So we'll make a checklist. And yeah, here's all of our STIGs now for this box, right? We come in here and we say IPv4. And then maybe also reset all the filters and say IPv6. And that's 8. So there's 8 IPv6 settings that you might have to go check and configure and get working on a system, right? You're going to have to break that acronym out for me, Killa. I know so many NMSs, I don't even know what that one is. Like, you know what I'm saying? There's so many acronyms for NMS. I don't know what you need. Network management, I would not use Prometheus as a network management. Prometheus is a time series database. You would use Prometheus for throwing data at something, you know, and scraping data from web servers and stuff like that. Scraping data from any number of sources, really. Yeah, Prometheus goes and gathers data unless you send it, and you don't really want to typically send data to it. But yeah, no, it's not network management. NMS would be more like, I'm trying to think of a good open source one. I don't really do a lot of networking, but yeah, I'm sure the guys can recommend one. Yeah, SolarWinds is also super easy to compromise. I mean, you guys saw that outage they took. Took so many. I'm surprised SolarWinds still exists after that. But then again, so does Falcon Strike. So who knows how these people keep surviving? But yeah, Twisted Seed. The things for people that are doing the course, what you want to do is you want to do the discussions each week, so you're keeping up with everybody. And then the worksheet and the lab you can do on your own, and then those with the project you turn into me at the end of everything. The reason I did that is, one, I was so inundated last time I couldn't even keep up with stuff. So I decided to just tell everybody to keep it to the end. And what you find out is, well, you know, out of the 110, 120 people coming right now, we're probably only going to have about maybe 9 or 10 of them finished. So if I just wait until the end, then, you know, I won't get anything sent to me. So there's always that. Give me a second here. R710's nice. I got a couple of those. Got to take these pills. Wife gave them to me. What you'll do, Twisted, is when the whole course is done, whatever course you guys are working on, you'll kind of aggregate them all up. I just turn them into one big PDF and just send it to me. You can just send it to me into the Discord. But what I look for is, you know, people have to be doing all the discussion. If people aren't doing the discussions, I don't even worry about any of the other stuff, right? And then I look at like completeness of the labs. You know, did you kind of understand it? And then there's a final project. And the final project, you can, if you opt to, you can present on it. But the final project's like this last piece where people put together some project, something that they want to do. Yeah. Yeah, Killa, that's not a bad start. 128 gigs of RAM and 6 terabytes of storage. That's a pretty good start. Make sure that you take that storage and configure it the way that you want when you first get it. And what I tend to do with my storage, most of my boxes have about 6 terabytes in them, but then I carve it down and I only get about 4 usable. But then I've got a RAID 5 system, and then I can lose any one disk. That's kind of my thoughts on that, or the way that I do that. Better than a little Optiplex. I'm going to make Optiplex for Firewall. Yeah, nice. You can do that too. Yep. Have it as a network firewall as opposed to just like a host one. Yeah. There you go. All right. Yeah, that's definitely good to have. So I might leave these as they are and then move this out. Yeah, that's what I want to do. So now how many STIGs do you have left? And then let's investigate the individual STIGs real quick. This is kind of what the investigation of those would look like. Let's say we were looking at IPv6, and I only said here, filter by IPv4 and see how many STIGs you have. So you went to left and you did filter, and you see that you have 15. And then I'm going to say examine. So let me go over here. We'll filter IPv4. And we're just going to pick one at random. And let's say examine. So now we got to check if it's configured properly on our system. So we don't need to connect to MariaDB locally. We're just going to be on the system. And the question here would be, this will be systemctl. Actually, the command is right here. They give you the exact command to go check, right? All right. It's not systemctl, it's sysctl. So sysctl dash a grep 4. All right. So on your system, you might see something like what I have right there. I'll grab this. Mother effer. Anybody know why I use 2 greps there and not like some kind of extended grep functionality? Okay. Can you remediate the finding? That's an interesting one. So yes, we can remediate the finding. If we wanted to, we could do it like this. And we could just do if we had hardened it, which actually I think those were hardenings that I had done before, we could just VI in here. Dash, I don't know. We could give the exact one if we wanted. We could do, I mean, we could do that if we really wanted to. Yeah, we could. And then we would come here and we would add this value. Well, was that already set right? I think it was, wasn't it? So it was already set right, so we didn't actually have to do it. Did I already have it set? No, not from there. Okay. Yeah, you can just go make a file down there if you wanted to. Okay. So in this case, technically you can't remediate that because it's already fixed, right? So this one was already good. So what our findings would be here would be that we were good. So, okay, so where's our thing here? We made this finding. In this case, it's already correctly set, right? But if we needed to, we would set that value in etc sysctl.d, 00 remediate.conf or whatever, and then reload system. Where's the reload command at? There you go. That is 2 dashes. There you go. All right. So now we're just gonna keep evaluating the STIGs, right, for the different ones for this, and seeing where the system's at. So over here, status. I just typed that so much. All right. And you want net IPv4 conf all. So net IPv4 conf all, accept all redirects. This needs to be set to 0, right? And let me grab this. Right, there's the one that we want. This one is also going to be a different STIG. the same steps as the one before, so that's how you would go about remediating it. All right. So 60 and 61 are... So now, so we're going to take 60 and 61. Okay. These are they related? All right. Then could you fix them? All right. So that'll be that part of those. Then we're gonna go do some firewall ones. So filter by firewall. Remove all filters. And then add firewall. Filter by firewall. Right. So here's our firewall. How many total STIGs? Ugly as shit, but it is what it is. All right, how many STIGs do you see? Hey, not fake Amir, how's it going? My shoulder hurts. Everything hurts when you do jiu-jitsu, but left shoulder kind of just started hurting there for a second. What's going on there? All right. Yeah. So how many STIGs do you see? And what are these STIGs trying to do, right? Cut this, put it up here. So again, there's 4 STIGs here, and they are like, this is forcing the firewall to be on. This is ensuring that the firewall package is there. This is ensuring that it's on and active. And then this one is showing that it's backended by NF tables. So by NF tables in the kernel. So what do the 4 things, like what are the 4 types of STIGs that we're dealing with here with the firewall? Well, they're all technical controls, and they are in this case, this is a technical, it's causing that to always come on. Disable an active process. Okay. That is going to be a, let's go look at our types of controls. I'm trying to think if this is more of a compensating control, because it's not really, this is still a technical preventative control because it's stopping them from spawning an interactive boot process in any other way, so that's fine. This one right here, making sure that the package is installed, this is a technical corrective control, because if you didn't have it, you need to correct it, right? This is a corrective control. Put the package on there if it's not there, right? Then this one is making sure it's on, so that's a technical, I guess it would also be a corrective control by that same measure. And then this one is a technical corrective control as well, because you're configuring something to be correct. So those are all technical controls, and they're all forcing your system to behave in a certain way, right? Let me get rid of this. We don't need that anymore. All right. So you have, if you're doing this, and then I can get rid of this for now. So filter by firewall. Boom. How many STIGs do you see? Check and remediate. All right. That is probably, with all the talking we're going to do on this when we do the next course, that's probably enough for that lab. However, I'm going to add a little bit to this, but it's going to be around what the team tells you, right? Like what you've agreed on and stuff. So we'll have a little more there. We'll have a little more. Not fake a mirror. I have a question. There will be no new recordings for Linux administration course, only solving. I don't understand that question. Let me answer it like this. I'm not going to re-record the course. No, it's the old course. But only solving labs is definitely not all you're doing in that course. So I don't know what that means. If you're doing that course, you're doing discussions, you're doing worksheets, and you're doing labs. So I don't know how to answer that besides saying I'm not doing new recordings because we already have recordings, and then only solving labs. I don't know how to parse that. But there's worksheets, there's labs, and there's discussions. All three of those need to be done if somebody wants to complete that course. Now, if people don't want to complete the course, they can do whatever they want. Obviously, I don't care about that. But for people that want to do the course, you've got to do the whole thing. So, yeah, the recordings are already recorded. Yeah, they're all up there still. If you need those, right? So if you guys are like, hey, here's the Linux admin. Where's the Linux version of this? So if you're in here, and you said, hey, where's the recordings for any week, like for Unit 1, you would go here, and in the worksheet, there's the recording from when we did it before. Every recording is embedded for the first course. So here's Unit 2 recording, Unit 3 recording. So everything's recorded already for the first one. So, yeah, hopefully that makes sense. So for the security engineering course, we don't have the recordings in yet, but I did do the first recording this morning, so you guys have that. Yeah, the first recording will be in there, and then you can go through, and they're still adding some of these other components, but there's all the MariaDB stuff we did this morning, and then all the rest of the course is still coming because I'm still making it as we go, but you guys can at least have access to it. So my other questions are going to be around the actual system. So let's go look at the actual system. Any clean Hammer system Firewall D is running. Let's look at the open ports. And let's target one of these out that we don't care so much about. I don't think we care too much about the RPC bind. So we're going to maybe I need to put something on the Rocky boxes that's just open that shouldn't be there. Well, I guess I could do it as like part of a separate lab configuration, huh? And just set it up for that week. The problem with that is if people come along later, then certain things aren't set up for them. So I try to make each lab self-contained. Like I make you set it up, or I make you go hit a button somewhere and set something up. We can write all the playbooks and stuff that would do that for us. It's not super hard. All right, what are we doing here? All right. Let's go pull up an old lab of mine. I'm gonna go pull up some old thing that I have that I haven't looked at in a while. So we go to like our Linux security, we go to just our Linux group, and we look up Firewall. I haven't looked at this one in a while. Let me see. Let me pull up. See if this one has it all. This one will work. All right. This is an old lab I have. This is up in the Discord as well. If you guys need access to it, it's up in Discord. And I am going to find. I haven't done this in a while. Here we go. Here's all our services that we have. And let's look in there for Node. There is Prometheus Node Exporter. So let's go look. So then we cd to user lib firewall d services, and we ls for Node, and then we do more on Prometheus Node Exporter. Boom, there we go. Okay, that's actually pretty cool. I didn't realize that was going to be there. That'll be good for the lab. So what I'm going to say is, in the lab here, let's do this. Let me get this thing out of the way, and we're going to say verify your firewall is running, and that can be systemctl firewall d status. Systemctl status firewall d. All right. And then let's say, no, we're going to change this. We're going to say expose your port. And then here we'll go boom, systemctl status firewall d, and then we're going to see verify if firewall has the service defined, and the definition of those services are here. So you can firewall -cmd. Fucking hate that. Like, if I could tell this thing anything, it would be to stop fucking trying to fix that for me. Now, it doesn't. You can turn that off all day and it's still going to do stuff like that. Super annoying. I also really hate in the emails when it tries to finish sentences for me now. I absolutely hate it. But get services and grep-i for node, right? And then another one would be to ls user lib firewall d services, and then in there grep node, right? And then examine the structure of the. Actually, we need to do something else here real quick. Hold on. Your team needs to use Node Exporter from Prometheus to allow Node Exporter with Prometheus to allow scraping of system information back to your network management or network monitoring solution. You are running a firewall, so you need to expose the port that Node Exporter runs on to the network outside of your system. So, expose network port through your firewall. Boom, boom, boom. You can see the services that examine the structure of the firewall XML. And that's going to be oh, whoops. Okay. So now we need to expose that or allow that to go on. We're just doing a bunch of Linux here. That's all we're doing. Lots and lots of Linux. So how are we going to allow that through? So we can add the port by name. Typically what I do is I will do something like this. I will do firewall-cmd permanent, because if you don't do permanent, it's not going to be permanent. And then we're going to add service equal to Prometheus node exporter. And then now if we say firewall-cmd list services, oops, firewall, we should see where's that at? Oh, we gotta do a reload. My bad. I was gonna do a reload. Now we see that Prometheus node export. So port 9100 is being used. So verify that's running. One thing we might do here is verify that the service is not currently, or verify that the service is not currently enabled for node exporter. Underscore exporter, and that command might look like firewall cmd list services, like that right there. Firewall. So then we examined the structure of it and we saw what we wanted. Now enable the service through your firewall, and that'll look like this. We got it right over here. Firewall. Actually, we're just going to copy it because screw that. It's too much work. Boom. Enable it. And we have to firewall cmd firewall reload, right? And then verify that the service is currently enabled for node exporter. And that will look like this. The same list services again, right? List services, boom. There we go. So we started off in this lab, if you're following kind of along with what we're doing here, is we started out the ouch. Yeah, I mean, no, I know I could do that stuff. I just don't bother. I don't do a whole lot with AI because I know it's good for the documentation part of things. I don't pay any of the services, so I try to keep from feeding them things if I'm not actually like if I wasn't paying for it and I didn't know if it was going to be used for other things, I would probably not deal with it. There's a lot of security considerations, at least in some of the work that I do, where I can't feed stuff up like that. So I do kind of just hand draw and hand work through most of my stuff. All right, so we started up here, figured out how to do the STIGs for people that needed to get in their STIG viewer. Then we came down here and we started the configuration. And why does that? Oh god, that's terrible. Network service configurations for the lab. Boom. Then we might even call this firewall. Port. This would be firewall port exposure right here. Your team needs to use Node Exporter with Prometheus to allow scraping the system information back to your network monitoring solution. You're running firewall, so you need to expose that port Node Exporter runs on to the network outside of your system. Okay, there you go. Boom. Yeah, I think that AI's got some real good use cases coming up. I just don't do a lot of that. So, all right, hold on. So there's the lab. All right, so the lab started out with STIGs, locking down the boxes, looking at the different configuration standards that you had to adhere to. I hate this. These need to fit better. Too much space in here. All right. I need to think of some exercises for this one that are related. It's a pretty decent start for the lab. So the lab's okay. Let's go look at the that's the lab. Let's go look at the, where's that? I gotta pull up the Unit 2 worksheet. So I have not even touched the worksheet yet. Alright. Unit 2. We gotta update the Unit 2 discussion post 1. Good. And Unit 2 discussion post 2. And these are going to be in relation to the things that we're working on for securing the network connections, right? So we'll update those, and then we'll update all that, and then we'll go. All right. What else am I missing over here? Nothing too much. All right. Our timeout. We just hit an hour. We don't need the syllabus anymore. I think that's fine. We don't need this hammer box anymore. Reboot him. Make sure he comes back up. Because remember, in the home lab, well, in the Prolog labs, if you reboot a box, it just comes back as a standard node again. Anything you made, any changes you made on it, wiped clean every time, right? That's what Rocky instances do. If you tell them to, you could make them behave different ways, but that's the way we have them behaving, is they just come up as a stateful image off a compute node image every time, right? They're just, I said stateful, I meant stateless. They're just stateless image every time off of the container. First question about this course is, okay, we're going to switch that up. And then we're going to switch these up. Switch these up. Switch these up. All right. Let's ask this. What is the layered defense model? What is meant by the term defense in depth, right? And then we'll say, that's weird that wasn't, if how does removing services or removing software, turning off services. And running a firewall fit into the okay. So the answer to that, by the way, some of you guys that have been around know where I'm getting at with that, is you're doing all of these different things, but at the end of the day, you just don't want something connect. And by having a layered defense in depth model or a layered model or a defense in depth model, if you have a firewall on and you accidentally add a software that you don't expect and turn on a port that you don't expect, it doesn't matter because the firewall's there protecting you. Now, should you have done that? Probably not. Should you have configuration management and other tools as compensating controls to keep that kind of stuff from happening? Absolutely. But the fact that you have the firewall in front keeps those things from being, it minimizes the blast radius of that problem, right? The worst thing that could happen is somebody could locally connect, but now they have to already have been, on your system to get there. One of the ones, if you guys remember Shell Shock, I don't know if anybody was here in I want to say it was like 2013, 2014 when Shell Shock hit, and people flipped out, and they were like, for the last 20 years, guys, if you exposed a bash shell to the internet with no authentication, it was 100% compromisable to your system. And we're all like, who fucking cares? Who's exposing a bash shell with no authentication to anything? Like, you got to go through SSH to get in. It was like the silliest thing ever, but it was it was considered a 10 on the CVSS. It got a CVSS score of 10, and we had to immediately patch it across the organizations that I worked with, and it was silliness. Because Shell Shock was not, you'd have to be an idiot to run that and let that be a thing. It's like the same thing that happened earlier this year with, actually it was late last year with cups. And I remember thinking, who runs cups? And then like all the people in the Discord were like, we all run cups. And I'm like, really? I've never professionally run cups in my whole career. I've never seen it running anywhere. It's a common Unix print service, right? Like I've never seen anybody run it. Like, but people run it apparently. And it was a level 10 CVSS score, so you had to patch it immediately, basically. Oh, by the way, this box is back up. There he is. All right, he's back. He's good. All this stuff's back to just like he was, so good. All right, let's clear up our definitions of things. And then the links are still going to be valuable. And we're getting down into the system. So, shoot, I gotta look. Linux groups, engineering course. No, not the project. Syllabus. When do we touch? I need to know when we touch the... I guess I'll do it down here. Updating systems and patch cycles. That's fine. We won't do it until this one. But I have a thing we're going to do with OpenSCAP. We're going to scan the systems to see how in compliance they are, and we're going to pull those scans out of the system as well. I don't have a good... Well, that's fine. I'm doing Unit 5. Where's this other thing at? Where's my Unit 5 at? So we'll do OpenSCAP remediation and then SCC scans in that week. This is just my notes here. This is like where I've been keeping track of what we're doing. All right. All right. As most of you guys know, we're not working too hard today. We'll get to those other ones later. What did I don't remember what I called this one for Unit 2. Network standards and compliance. Okay. Over here. Don't really care if Prolog's on there or not. Network standards and compliance. Good. You're still gonna want to do that. I gotta update this. All right. There we go. All right. Yeah, getting better at Linux is always the goal around here for most of you guys. Trying to get you guys set up and doing this stuff professionally. That's always the goal. Oh, is that what I missed? I missed that earlier. Hold on. Labs. Sorry. Logs. I thought I missed that earlier. No, it's not there. That's not. Where did they put this? I'll figure that out later. I'll do a report for you guys. So yeah. The goal, Q. The goal is to make everybody get better at this stuff. Yeah. So we got that. We got that. All this stuff's moving along. This music out of the way. So we're slowly getting Unit 2 built. I was gonna update the logging on this, but I'll do that when I have the patience for it. Oh, QA, somebody put a question. It's both. It's always been both, but well, I'll answer that later. But yeah, it's always been both. But what are we doing here? What do we want to do, guys? We could do. I don't really feel like lecturing too much. Don't really feel like building more of that course out right now. I've been staring at that for the last 2 days, so it's like making my eyes bleed. What we could do is, there's gotta be something more fun. Just check what's going on in the home lab here. Check how the lab boxes are doing. That's a fine way to spend some of our time. So let's come over here. Make sure all our host files look like what we expect. That's fine. Let's go back over here. Let's do some Ansible and do uptime. See how the boxes are doing. Make sure they're all up, right? Make sure everything in the environment's up. Yeah, I don't see anything out of place there. A couple things on Werewolf. Let's do df-h. Make sure that our system is not running out of disk space, because we want to make sure. I give it a bunch of extra space, but make sure that nobody's using up all the space, because everything is shared back to this one box. So people could technically denial of service the box by just adding a whole bunch of disks, just use up all the disk space. I'm not super worried about that, because I don't think most people, if you're already getting root to an environment, I don't think there's any reason to mess around like that, because you're already root, right? Nothing's going to stop you. But there's our stuff for the home lab, stuff for all this. What I should do, I guess, is all our nodes are up. Everything's good. You can see that everything's configured the way that we expect. This is all standard stuff. This doesn't change in the home lab. This is how the home lab's built, so that everything is able to come up in a automated fashion, right? This is all. And this looks a lot more complex than it actually is. This is simply a set of key value pairs that were either defined by me at first, and then it just ran up the numbers and it just kept adding the next one. Or there were a few things that we had to kind of hard code, which were like our hardware addresses, and that was super easy to do. Well, we let the system find them as we brought the nodes up one at a time. Some of you guys remember when we were building this out. In fact, the only reason I haven't done, I was telling you guys this the other day, the only reason I haven't done a Werewolf configuration course is because while I think Werewolf is one of the best tools around, I'd have to have you all in your own systems, right? Like, there's too much, like, Werewolf needs too much space, kind of. Not in the sense that it takes up a lot of space. I could run individually local VLANs for everything, but it would just be a hassle to set that all up for everybody, so I haven't done that. But if anybody does want to run through Werewolf, you guys just got to let me know if you need to build it. Like, if you've got an environment and you're like, hey, I've got all the stuff ready to build it, it's not that much work to get it all working. You just gotta spend some time with it. And all right. Like home labbers, I know some of you guys are building. A lot of you guys build home lab stuff out, right? This is all what we do up here in one of these spots. All right. Anyways, what else are we doing? Let's do this. Let's go check on Ranger real quick. See how Ranger's doing. I will. No, not as bad. I'm going to relink these because I think these are important for you guys to know where they're at. Here's the Professional Systems Admin course right here. And here is the here's the security course for people that want that. Remember, the security course is still in work. Well, they're both kind of still in work, but there you go. Q said, do I have any resources that I mirror locally? I run an internal repo for the web page, right? So we've got the web page, which should be up right now. Yeah, so the web page is up. And then I actually run a local mirror for this. So I could show you guys. Actually, I got to write that process up. So if you guys want to see that process for how we deploy the web page, I can do that. Let me do this real quick. I'm gonna turn this on so that we can run through. Here's the course. Like, if you wanted to see, that's what it looks like if you go and you pass the course. Everybody that passed the course has one of these, and then it's got a little QR code. And if you scan the front of their actual certificate, it takes you right there and shows you that. But yeah, there's our prolog.org, and it tells you about the courses that we have, and they both started yesterday for people that want that. Let me put a little break here real quick. So let's say Hourglass. Also, I found right as I was leaving yesterday on the course, somebody asked about this Hourglass program. Somebody was like, hey, where does Scott get that Hourglass from? This is literally just a little free Windows tool that exists out there. I mean, I think I found it on the web a few years back. It's called Hourglass. I think you can like donate like $10 to the guy or something if you want to, but you don't have to. It's a great tool. I use it for like college class countdowns, and like when I teach and I only have like 40 minutes or something as my section of like the discussions, I will use that to count down in the corner so people can see it. So it's pretty good. Anyways, let's say break, and then we will draw out the Prolog website architecture deployment. We'll go look at that. How's that? And our break will be, I'll give you guys 10 minutes. So 10 minutes. That's also giving me 10 minutes. And let me turn off the camera here for a second. Transition over there. All right. Feel free to walk around, take a break, and hopefully this stuff will be. I think I'm just kind of beat from yesterday, man. Like I feel like I'm being real short with people and stuff, but it's just because I think I was busy. Like I was really busy yesterday online, so maybe that's why I'm so tired or something. I don't know. All right, I'll be back. All right. You guys are still on break. Keep taking your break. You guys are still on break. Courses are all run out of here. You guys can go find that if you go on the Discord. Yeah, do your break and then we'll do this architecture thing. I swear I started it, but I don't think I finished it. Save that one. No. All right. Reset canvas. All right. This is actually part of it. Well, it's not right yet though. So we'll do that here in a bit. I'll give you guys 4.5 more minutes left of break time, and then we'll get back to it. It's my break too. Shaft said, video request, analyze Linux jobs in high frequency trading firms. I've never worked in a high frequency trading firm. I mean, I've worked in extremely highly available systems. I've worked in extremely low latency, data coming off satellites and stuff, but I've never worked in like a trading firm. So I don't know exactly what their requirements are. But some of the stuff that we do is generally always accurate. Like building a web server, or not building a web server, building a secure Linux device, and then having that secure device only open and expose ports that it should, and only communicate the ways that it should. Like those kind of things are universal, no matter where. When is the digits coming in? You know what? Are the digits open yet? Hold on, guys. This is interesting. Digits. Have they opened these up yet for people to buy them? No. Where's the actual box at? Hold on. Have they opened this for buying yet? Last I saw... No, good God, get the fuck out of my way. I hate when shit like that pops up in my face. It's the most annoying shit around. I remember these were going to be about $3 or $4 grand. It looks like they're still just on the reserve now button. Looks like they're going to come from Dell as well. I do a lot of work with Dell in this space. I think you guys know that. It's going to be Dell's version of it. That is going to be a beefy little boy. What's HP doing? I work with HP some too, but not nearly as much. I work a lot with Dell systems. Huh. That's going to be a tiny little one. What's Reserve Now look like? Let's see if they give us a cost. I do have an NVIDIA account, but I don't think I log in with any of these to get in there. All right, we'll play with that. We'll figure that out later. But that's true. Nobody ever got fired for buying Dell. That's a fair statement right there. Although, man, I got a customer, one of our customers, they bought a lot of Dell. In fact, they've got 4 supercomputers from Dell, and they're differing sizes, but we put 3 of them in their data center, and we started like, we had a few problems with breakers and some other stuff, and then it was funny that this customer, they don't have the power to run all the stuff they bought. So it's like this isn't going to get remediated until out in July or August, maybe. And it's like, man, like you've got these supercomputers just sitting there that are, millions and tens of millions of dollars. And they're just sitting there. Because we can't even spin them up high. Because if we spin them up high, it breaks the whole facility. Yeah. Customers want everything. Everybody wants everything, but they can't. They can't do that. All right, so let's go look at what this kind of looks like in the home lab here. Then I'm gonna pull this up, and we'll just update this drawing as we go for everything, and we'll look at the architecture, and then like what we kind of have running. So if we cat etc host real quick in my home lab. We've got a production cluster right here. These are the internal IP addresses of my home system, right? And I can SSH to any one of those. So SSH like prod K8S-1, and I'll go over there. Oh, it looks like my password's about to expire. That's fine. It's actually funny. I can't get into those when my password's down, so I probably should change my password today. But in here, I SU to like my Scott user, and then the Scott user has all the certificates in here to interact with the Kubernetes instance. So if you say, why can't you just do it as root? He doesn't have the permissions, right? So then we go into Scott, and then Scott has access to all of the API communications. He can talk to everything. kubectl has the right certificates, as it were, to communicate with that API, right? I turn my camera back on. You guys are probably like, where's that guy at? There I am. All right. So let's go look at this in the home lab. So we've got a 3 Kubernetes cluster, kubectl, get nodes, and they're all running version 1.28.14, right? And they're all doing whatever they're doing. And if I do a kubectl get pods, I see that we've got Prolog website running, and we specifically have this version v2 right here. And we actually did something here this last week. We decided to ensure that we actually, I think as we deployed this, we deployed it as version 2. So let's go look at the labels. So we'll do -- show labels on our pods here, and you'll see right here that for app Prolog website there's a there should be a v2. I'm going to make this a little wider for you guys here. We might have to make it the whole screen. There we go. So look over here. He's got app Prolog website. This is the older one. And then the newer one is app Prolog website v2. So we use this as we, watch this, kubectl describe. All right, let's get services. There's our services. And then let's describe the service. All right, so now look at this real quick. He is deployed, and he's looking for the selector. So this service that sits there as like an open service right here, this service, external facing, he was pointed originally at app Prolog website, which is this guy right here, app Prolog website. So these are the older Prolog websites right here. And then we said, go ahead and select. We're going to select you over to app Prolog website version 2, which are these newer ones. See how they've only been up for 8 days? So we actually slid this over the other day when we were trying to deploy this. Well, when we did deploy it, we deployed it right here. So then it goes, now they go over to pod, which are the green ones, right? The deployment v2. So that's how that points to each other right there, right? Oh yeah, Q. I've seen cooling stop things, and I've seen that. So power space and cooling is huge. Most of the time, you'll have floor space. Floor space is really hard to rent right now. Like I work with clusters that are like tens of thousands of square feet of floor space on the floor. Those are big data centers, guys, and people can't rent that right now. You can't rent that. You need to already have that right now. Yeah, Atavirk, you definitely need the STIG viewer. You won't be able to do that course. Yeah, Yeah, I'm tuning that whole security course around STIGs, which is Secure Technical Implementation Guidelines. We can do any other ones later, but we're using STIGs to understand the basics of security over there. So, okay. So anyway, so let's go look at our deployment methodology. We have this thing going on here. We've got a website over here. And in here, we've got archived old. So let's cd to archived old and look at, here's PLS and PLS version 1. I started numbering them. And then up here, we have, if we do like a git status, we'll see that we're not in anywhere. But then we did a git clone down to PLS. And now in here, you'll see that we have downloaded git. A PLS is actually a repository that we've downloaded. One of our guys, Treasure, writes these. He built the whole website for us. And we are literally just cloning it down and building the local Go container to run. So here's the process of how I deploy that. Where's my this? All right. So in Excalidraw, I archive the old version and I move it out because the downloaded code doesn't matter. And I download the new one. So I do git clone, git at github.com, professional links, users group, pls.git. This pulls down the page. And I build the container in there. So let's go in there. And if we look at like Podman compose, this is what it's going to build, right? And there's some Go code, some main little Go code, and then I think we're using Angular and JS, something like that. You guys can go look that up. You can ask Treasure if you want. He'll tell you all about it in the Discord, right? Shit. Here. All right. Move this out of the way. So we build that container, and then we push it to our local. We have a local repository. So if we do a Podman PS, you'll see that we're running this local registry on this box. And that local registry is just sitting there and keeping tags of, in this case, localhost 5000 PLS. This was the one created 8 days ago. And that's the image that we're then going to grab inside of the web page. So when we're done building this first part and we push it up to the repository, we tag it and we push it up. Now we're done with all of like the build and the construction part of it, right? Like, and Treasure before this has done all of his Go and all that stuff. And if you guys want to see that, talk to him. If you want to go pull it out of whatever he's got up in the actual GitHub, it's here. Where's our GitHub? If you guys want to see the GitHub for that, I think it's all just in here, right? I'll link it to anybody that wants it. So the Professional Linux Users Group sits out here, and this is all of our repositories, right? So if you want to go see what that thing's doing, the website is right here, right? So here's the link. Also, we just opened this up yesterday. I don't sit around and ask for this kind of stuff, but we did open it up for sponsors. Actually, I don't even know if that one's gotten approved yet. Let's go see. I don't know if this one's. I'm not sure if this one's approved for sponsors. Like mine is approved for sponsors. I think this one's still pending, but hopefully that works. And then. People that want it, again, I don't tell you guys to donate anything, but people that want to, maybe you like this stuff and you've been already in the industry, but for people that are like trying to get in the industry, I tell you guys, you don't have to do anything. Just, when you go get the cool career and when you're doing this stuff, you can flip us a nickel later if you want, but you don't got to do any of that stuff up front, right? That's not what we're here for, right? That's not the point of the group, but that is there, and that's going to support some of the guys, because I know having the different guys on there costs like $40 a year or something, which is not a lot either. I mean, compared to like what the group kind of brings in, but it's like, anyways, it's one of those things. So we did a blue-green deploy here. Actually, before we do the deployment, let's go look at, we've built everything, right? We've pulled it all down. We've constructed the container. We pushed the container up to a local repository. Now not Ansible. Kubernetes has to know how to run it. So let's go up one. And the way I do all of my Kubernetes is right here. We were just doing the regular prolog website .yaml. So this is how it was originally set up. Right here. We had a deployment, and the deployment was prolog website. And that's the whole label selector that it was using. And down here, we were doing some security originally, but it's It's going to run on prod K81 for now. We could also spread them across all of them, but for now we let them just sit on the one. And then he calls that localhost 5000 PLS, and he runs this container in a secure way. You can't even if you take over that box, you can't get privilege escalation, so you can't even get root. And then the container port, we changed to 9090. We changed that because, I don't remember exactly why we changed it, but it's 9090, right? That makes sense. Let's go look at our described services again real quick. You'll see why that's the back-ended port right here. So the port coming in on this guy is 3001. That's what's coming from the outside world. It hits the service splits it out kind of. It goes like this and splits it out to each of those different pods on port 9090. I have 2 pods up right now, and they're both running port 9090, right? When that service points to that, from the outside it looks like this. So out in the world, grab my little pen here, shorten my stroke width here. Out in the world, you know, you're just internet. You come in off of the internet and you actually hit the front end here of something that you might not think, and that is, oh, I don't want to type like that. Let's go CloudFront. So AWS CloudFront, right? And AWS CloudFront comes down on port, right? This is port 8080. This is also how you could go directly to the site. If you wanted to go directly to the home site, you can go hit it off of that port on my home, right? Then that comes in through my home, and it hits this external service right here. And this external service is externally on port 3100. You see it right there? But these deployment pods in here are port 9090, right? And you're out there hitting AWS CloudFront on port 80. And you might go, well, why the hell did you guys do all that? We could have skipped almost all of it, guys, except for one fucking thing. My home internet blocks port 80. Doesn't let I could pass you guys directly through off my home on port 80, but they block port 80. Why do they do it? They say it's for security. It's to protect you, little guy who doesn't know how to run a web server. That's why. So there you go. That's so internet. You hit CloudFront. So when you hit the ProLug like this, you're actually hitting CloudFront. CloudFront on port 8080. There you go. God damn it. Anyways, you're hitting Cloud. Where the fuck did that just go? Oh, here it is. Huh. You're hitting CloudFront on port 8080, right? That is then hitting the outside of our prolog asuscom.com on 8080, unless it's cached it, because that's what CloudFront does, is cache things. And then that 8080 on the outside of my router is translating to 31,000 as an internal service, and that internal service is pointing, and actually truly right now, this is actually over here on deployment green. And I'll show you how we deployed over to deployment green, which was the V2, right? How we flipped that over. I'll show you guys that here in a second. But then now you see this version over here, the deployment green. And then again, they're all technically running off of this one. But I can spread them across. I just haven't. I need to. I guess I could just use the port number. But anyways, I have to update the port when I set it because I have them currently hard-coded to this one. But that's just because the image repository is there. I guess I really should just move the image repository off and then they can all just hit it. It's not that big of a deal. But anyways, this is the difference right here. When we went to do the deploy, the original one looked like this. And then we exposed the service and pointed originally to this Prolog website. Then when we made the second one, watch this, there's going to be, it's like a tiny little sleight of hand here. Like J2, whoops, website.j2, what? Oh, V2, where's V2? I don't know what's wrong with me. YAML. This one is slightly different with that V2 on the end. Then all we had to do was point the label, the selector label, right here. Just had to go to point to V2, and it caused this to go doop. It just connected right over to the other one. That's it. Now, if we were doing this in production, we were doing this in the home lab, so like we didn't really care. We were all laughing about it when we were doing it. In production, we would extensively test this box here first before we do it, and then instead of just flipping over like this, we would do a canary deployment. We did not do a canary deployment because we didn't care that much, but this is how that looks. Now, if you say, Scott, can you show me the difference between kicking over between a canary deployment and a green deployment? Yeah, I actually have 2 labs on that. We don't do these labs very often, but these labs I think are quite good. But I'll link them to you guys if you want them. What we did is right here in our Kubernetes labs. It's called the blue-green deploy right here. And I'll pull up the two images so you guys can see them. But here's the link, and then you can go just find them. Unprivileged so it can run. Unprivileged is so it can't become root. So I'm going to open this in a new image in a new tab. This is what we did. This is the cutover we did. But the other deployment, let me go back one real quick. Kubernetes. And here's a canary deployment. This is the way we would do it, like if we really cared about it. Like if we had 10,000 new connections a day or something, we would have done this. And it would have worked just fine. I'm going to go close those down. Those are the labs. You guys got the labs if you want them. Here's a blue-green deploy. It's blue, and then it's green. It just flips over like, that. This one flips over slowly. It starts on version 1. Then we scale up version 1, so there's a lot more of them. And then we have it kind of straddle both, and it goes 80% one way and 20% the other way. And then when we're ready, we cut it over to all be on version 2. So that's a slower, some people call this a canary deployment, some people call this a one-box deployment. And the idea is you just kind of let it sit there a little bit. It's not taking load. It's taking only 20% of the traffic. You've already done testing on this before you ever took it live. Please believe that. But then you're letting it kind of like make sure it's running through the paces. You're letting it kind of have some warm-up laps before it's really in the races. Now here, all the traffic's coming to it. It's taken the full load. And then these ones, which I still have these old ones sitting here in our system, right? I still have the old ones sitting here. We can go ahead and kill these at our leisure. These are we have near 100% uptime right here on our system, right? As close to it as you can without any other problems being introduced. So again, anyways, so you guys were asked, somebody had asked, like, how did we deploy and why did we deploy the way we did? That's our deployment right there for the web page. And it's pretty, I mean, it's pretty secure. It's about as secure as you can get something on the web, if you're running it from a home location. But I take more outages from the internet, from Cox going down. So it's funny, the Cox internet is bringing all fiber into my neighborhood. So they actually put a bunch of flags up in my front yard and like all up in, like if you look down the row of houses, it's just a bunch of flags in our front yard about 3 feet in for the easement. Yeah, look at it. Look, I bet I have it right here. Hold on. Where's our security and connectivity dashboard? You should see an outage from yesterday. Hold on, let's go look for like the last, let's go last 2 days. There should be a big, where the hell is that? DNS query errors, where did that go? Oh, I need to be on, we were definitely down all yesterday for this time. But I don't know what. Oh, hold on. There's a. I bet I have one of those logic errors again. Hold on. Does this do the average? Yeah, it does the average. So you see how that slowly went down to 0, as opposed to just being 0 the whole time. That happened because that's actually interesting. I don't actually want the mean. I want the instantaneous one time. I don't know how to do that in this is Flux version 2, so I got to go look up that command because I don't know how to do that. I have to go look that up. But the point is, this is definitely down during this time, but it's reading the mean of all the other ones. That's why it's draining out slowly like that, which is kind of annoying. But I'll go play with that later. All right. Yeah, I'm getting like 1.9, not even a 9. But that's the home lab deployment there, in case you guys are wondering. So, what else do we got? We've got all the courses have started. So for people that haven't been around, it's actually kind of cool. I can see inside of when I'm running the Prolog, I can go here to like server stuff, and I can see all of the things that have happened, like server events. And one of my favorite things is right as we're getting ready to run a course like this, which again, we have, I think we're at 110 people. Let's go look. We're at 110 people in the one and 82 in the other, but we've had up to 208 before without breaking anything. So I think that one averaged about 110 in the group. We had 70 in here yesterday and 70 in here. Actually, I think this got up to almost 80 yesterday as well. But one of my favorite things is I can see like all the events that are happening. And I can see people making invites for their friends, right? So like you can, if you guys don't know, you can go to like, you want to make sure you're in the right, like maybe general channel when you do it, but you can create an invite for your friends. Yeah, like invite right here. And then you can just go like copy the invite. And then like in the last few days, probably like 100 invites have been made by people to go give their friends or share with whoever about, oh, hey, there's this course coming up. And I'm like, that's kind of cool for me because like that's where the group grows the most, is when people are kind of sharing it, right? Like this kind of stuff, this is very, very slow. This is a very slow rate of growth for people to come in and hang out with us here and then jump down into a Discord or whatever. Schizophrenic, you had to convert some pages to Flux v2 the other day. Yeah, when I use Flux, when from my extent of using the Flux query language is when I go into the InfluxDB, like as I'm first setting it up, and I can look at the page. Actually, I mean, we can go to it any time, but I will use the query editor and then I'll flip it over to the Flux and I'll grab that code and go drop that in Grafana. That's how I do that. I don't have some, like I don't have a great command of that. I used to like how InfluxDB would let me do like SQL-like. I could do SQL-like commands, and I could query a lot of stuff with that because SQL's pretty easy, guys. Like, I mean, I'm sure, don't get me wrong, there's people who have built their whole careers and have been using SQL for 50 years out there that know it better than anybody. But for me, for just a guy who wants to query some data out of a database, it's pretty easy, and put it up on a dashboard. It's a pretty easy language to know the basics of, you know. You don't have to be an expert in it. You just have to be able to reference it when you're building something, right? So, yeah. SQL is really easy for people who don't have trillions of data points. Fair. It's actually funny. My brother, one of my brothers in data analytics, and he's been doing really good in it for the last few years, and he uses a fair amount of SQL. But when he first got on the team, he got rejected like 5 times from these different open positions. And it was weird because he was like trying to get into IT. He had been at this insurance company for like 15, 16 years at this point. And he was always the guy that was making all these spreadsheets and stuff that people were using all over the company. Everybody was always coming back to him anyways, even though he was just a manager over teams. And when he was getting rejected every time, they're like, you don't have SQL on your resume. And he's like, yeah, but I have like a bachelor's degree in network communication management. Like I have the background you guys want. I just don't have this one little thing. Well, anyways, then when he finally gets on the roll, and he's been doing it for years, and he's been killing it, and everybody's, I think they have like 3 teams fighting over him right now, and they're like gonna pay him better and stuff. Anyways, it's really funny. He even told me, he's like, Scott, I use SQL, but like this is so stupid. Like this being a barrier for him getting in was like the stupidest thing. Because people were like, there was one time they had him all sit and they really liked him, but then they were like, oh, we're going to hire this guy's dad. And he's like, well, why the fuck did you even tell me then that there was an opening? Like internally too. It was like internal. My brother's worked for this company. In fact, I think he's over 20 years with them right now. And then he's going to leave. In 2 years, he gets like his full pension. And then he has to wait till he's older. But the point is, I told him, because he makes good money, but he makes about half of what he should make in the industry. And I'm like, you're going to be worth like way more, dude. I said, when you make your first jump out of that company, you're probably going to almost double your pay. And that's a big thing. I mean, he already makes, again, good money, but he'll definitely probably double it with like what he's worth in the industry, all the stuff that he does. And he's finishing his master. I think he finishes his master's in like 2 months in data analytics. So I have him come talk to the group every now and then. My brother, he's on here, is Timodius, but you guys will run into him sometimes in the Discord. All right, what are we doing? We did all this stuff. Showed you guys all that stuff. We walked through all this. Pretty straightforward stuff. Did I miss anything else here? What is this prolog.pub? I don't even know what this is. I literally don't know what that is. Maybe that's a key that's some public keys, so like that's not that big of a deal for people to see, but yeah, I don't know. And then what is this? Oh, this was because we were going to do it with Ansible. Yeah. So I wrote this for, I'm going to Ansibleize this project. So really it'll be that query. So I had forgot I wrote this. I was wondering what the heck that was. Why is there J2 in there? So I can do this and I can just keep adding to I can just increment the version number each time I deploy it. So I could just say this next one's version 2. It'll move the other one off, bring the new one in. It'll do all this stuff. And then we'll go from there. So yeah, that's actually something I've been meaning to do that. I had forgotten I was going to do that. But yeah, so this deployment's just going to be a variable each time. And then that deployment will just flip the service over each time to the new variable. That's all. Super easy. Super easy to do. Yeah, a lot of stuff, like, people think it looks like it's complex, but once you kind of like sit down and look at it, you're like, that's not really that hard. It's not. That's actually pretty straightforward what we're working on there. So, and I forgot, we were originally going to do 8080, but I think since we were passing through on 8080, I think we chose to go with like 9090. The internal port gets built. Is it in here? Yeah, I think this got changed to 9090 as well. There you go. Boom. And then that's the build of everything. So this all gets built into the Podman here. There's all your... Oh, it's Tailwind and CSS. That's what he did. Tailwind and is Angular? I don't know. You'd have to ask him for that kind of stuff. Treasure's the guy to go ask in the Discord about that kind of stuff. I don't know. I don't know all that web. I'm colorblind and I'm blind. So I don't do any graphics stuff. They leave me far away from that kind of stuff. Found a YAML using singles. Better than one using tabs, I guess. Because then you got to try to figure out how many tabs there are in something. That'd be a hassle. But single space indents would work, but it would be kind of annoying too. Yeah, I get it. I had a buddy, no matter what you sent him, if you wanted him to code review it, this was years ago, back before everybody was using Git, and it was in a skiff, so we didn't even have Git down in there back then. If you sent him anything to review, he ran it through the script he had that removed all tabs and did double spacing instead. So if you wrote him something like this, you sent something like this over to him, which is, this looks like it's tab indented. It would and when he sent you back the review, it would be any corrections, but it would also be only in 2 tab. He had a 2 space. He was a 2 space indent guy, and he would fight to death, like he would fight on that hill to the death. He was not the type to play around with that kind of stuff, because that's what he did. He was a professional coder, so like that really bugged him. Yeah. No, I get that. I get all that stuff. This was I feel like we were working in the dark ages there, because we were in a skiff, and that was in the early 2000s, and skiffs are already like 20 years back in the past, because you can't bring new tools in them. You can't just bring a new tool in because it's good. You have to have a reason for the project, and then you better hope none of the maintainers, this was early on, I don't think it's still the same way, but you better hope none of those maintainers are from a country that isn't in good leagues with the U.S. Otherwise, like if any of the main maintainers, nope, can't use it. That used to be a thing. That still is a thing on some projects, but I was in the land before. I like that. The land before time. I used to be a LAN technician when I first got out of the Army. LAN, LAN, and that was kind of a weird thing. Omalvi said, do I have a dedicated server in my home for Proxmox? No, I run 4 servers in the home lab, and they are not on Proxmox. I use a tool called XCPNG, and it's mainly just because it works for me. And XCPNG is a fork of Zen when Zen got bought by Oracle. So you can use this type of tool instead of others if you wanted. And then for me, one of the reasons it's convenient for me is I can deploy all my stuff with Ansible. But Proxmox does have a lot more support going forward. So when people ask me what they should build in, I tell them to do Proxmox. Like if you're down in our Discord, we probably have 100 guys in there that have posted their Proxmox stuff over the last year. I'm probably the only guy running XCPNG. But I'm not trying to tell people to go run this. This is just what I've always kind of run. When I rebuild the clusters eventually, I'm probably going to build these all bare metal werewolf. So probably bare metal werewolf, and then I will probably carve them down with some kind of what's that virtualization? Whatever that virtualization tool is directly in RHEL. So. Yeah, look, guys, I think Proxmox is the way a lot of things are going. A lot of companies are moving off of ESX because, what's it called? VMware, man, they got bought by Broadcom, and Broadcom immediately said, oh, look at all this stuff that's way more valuable. Let's charge everybody like 4 to 10 times more. And that's kind of been an interesting thing to watch people deal with the last few years. Yeah. I may do KVM. I also may just make them bare metal Kubernetes and use the same product. So they use KubeVirt for this is what the guys are all using inside of Killer Coda, and I may just kind of model my environment after them, and then I just have to build some front end stuff. Which I'm not good at front end stuff. Like that's not what I do. But we'll figure it out. I think we got enough people around that'll help me figure it out, but it's just really just at that point getting time to do it all. Oh, a headless mini PC with 96 gigs of RAM. Nice. Oh, yeah, that sounds like a beefy little... You probably do all the things you need to do on 96 gigs of RAM. I mean, for the most part, like, the stuff that I do, I have... I actually have the... If people want to know the numbers in my home lab, I wrote them up the other day for... We were doing, like, a secure... We were doing a... like an operational meeting, and I just did this for fun. Let me pull this out of the way here. It looked like this. This was for our operational meeting the other day. And I had intended to keep making this a little better, but let me... Kind of looks like this. This is kind of what my home lab, as far as like the... That's like their overarching capacities are. But one of these days, we're going to get one of those digit systems around here. And those little digit systems will pump this up a little bit, because then we'll have some GPUs. I'll have to make a little category for GPUs here. So, yeah, this was like what our systems were doing. Bot continues to call me Scoot. That's a problem. All right. Anyways, yeah, that's this was our operational meeting the other day. I was kind of showing you guys how one of those runs. Nice. All right. Well, let's see what's going on the interwebs. I might call it for the day here. But guys, there's a lot of stuff going on down in the Discord. I highly recommend that if you guys are looking for something to do to get better at systems, that you go spend time in some Discord. It doesn't have to be ours. You can find any other one if you want. I posit that ours is pretty good. I think that ours is a solid group, and people are working together right now to get better at Linux systems administration and security engineering. So, you know, hang out down there, and get a little better at that kind of stuff. So, all right, I'm gonna drop off of here. Let's go find somebody to raid over on the Twitch side. Unfortunately, we can't raid anybody on the YouTube side, but let's see if anybody's doing anything fun. Let's see who I'm following that's on right now. Let's go raid over to somebody's doing Apollo stuff. I don't know what that is. Let's go hit up Ross. I haven't been on Ross's stream in a while. We'll go raid over there. Our raid message will be do all the Linux, and I appreciate you guys that stuck around with me, and I will see some of you guys later on this week. Oh, remember, I'm going out of town next weekend, so we're not doing our stream next weekend, but then we'll get back to it in April and really start hammering stuff out. All right, sounds good. Thanks, everybody.